Fionn Sheehan, on Thursday evening, you broke the news that RTÉ has a fresh payment scandal. We're 3 years on, just about, from the Ryan Tubridy one. Let's get into this one. Can you start by unpacking what exactly is on the table here?
Deja vu all over again. We have a star presenter in RTÉ whose salary doesn't appear to have been accurately recorded by the national broadcaster over a period of 6 years. That's exactly what we had 3 years ago at Ryan Tubridy. And yes, we have that to a degree with Derek Mooney, although it doesn't seem to be as kind of clouded in secrecy as the previous incident. Nonetheless, hugely embarrassing for RTÉ. So they're basically telling us that they have looked at their top 10 earners, and let's face it, this is the most scrutinised set of figures that RTÉ put out all year, not their annual accounts or how much money comes in from the licence fee or how many hours of drama they
How many
put
people
out.
watch the Late Late Toy Show?
That's probably up there. So it rival that. So RTÉ every year or thereabouts, they put out the top 10 highest paid presenters on an earnings basis, and which gives you the salary, the earnings, the wages of their top 10 presenters, otherwise known as the talent, and very much scrutinised and criticised over the year. And this is where the Ryan Tubridy issue arose. So a lot of corrections of that in recent years. They're now saying that they've reclassified the definition of a presenter that can include people who produce and present. And that this came about because they were implementing a recommendation, and somehow somebody in the accounts department went, okay, well, what about Derek Mooney? Because Derek Mooney is both a producer and a presenter. So around about 10 years ago, Derek Mooney used to present a daily show. He flipped from doing a daily show into a weekly show, and he also became an executive producer in RTÉ. And it would appear then that so he used to previously appear on the top 10 list and then hasn't for a decade. But now it seems, if we go back to 2020, there was some reclassification of Derek Mooney from being a presenter to a producer, and that over the following years, there's a strong possibility that he should have been in the top 10 earners. We now know that for last year, 2025, which figures that we haven't had presented to us before, so we didn't know who was in the top 10 as such. Well, we had a fair idea, but we know better now. And a lot of changes in RTÉ in recent years. Several of the top 10 top of the table presenters are gone for obvious reasons. Ryan Tubridy's departure 3 years ago. I mean, the scandal, Joe Duffy retiring, Claire Byrne departing to News Talk. So it now shows that Derek Mooney would in effect be number 7 of the top 10 presenters in RTÉ for last year. And that's fine because they're categorising him as a presenter. But the problem is that they've had to also amend their 2024 figures, which were previously published, which puts in Derek Mooney as number 8. On a salary of $197,151. So that would have actually pushed Dara Maloney, who would previously have been in the top 10 in 2024, out of the top 10 because Derek Mooney should have been in there. So RTÉ are saying, listen, there was nothing being hidden here. It was just a classification at the time. But the question that is, several questions are arising, such as, how did you not spot this before? Surely, given the amount of scrutiny that the top 10 presenters list has come under, particularly for the last 3 years, on foot of the Ryan Tubridy payment scandal, in inverted commas, copyright, which the RTÉ payment scandal is so often referred to. Isn't it amazing that you didn't spot this, lads? And they're basically saying, well, that was the decisions that were being taken at the time about how to categorise people. So they're saying that for 2025, they are changing the criteria for including people in the top 10 presenters, whereby if you're also a producer, you can now be included. And they're saying that for 2024, they're also amending that, even though the criteria were different at that stage, for comparisons purposes.
This is a logistical nightmare, let's be fair, right? I'm thinking of the listener here, and I'm thinking of myself even listening to this, because I don't know about you, but in school, maths and economics, I was dreadful, terrible. And I find that keeping up with the numbers can be very, very difficult. So are we putting any leeway here to RTÉ saying that, like, was this just an admin error, or is this, as we say, you really should have had your ducks in a row, guys?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to suggest that somebody like Derek Mooney, who is, after all, a household name, should really have been included in this. And it also calls into question, what exactly is this top 10 presenters list? It's purely people who only present. Are there other people in RTÉ who are also presenters, and therefore make salaries that should have put them into this?
There's a can of worms being opened here.
We've had an issue as well in recent times. To credit Kevin Bakhurst, it is an element of transparency that he has brought in, whereby we're now being presented not just with the top 10 presenters, but the salaries of the senior executive team, who would be the highest paid on the non-broadcast.
There is a salary cap
element.
there now.
The salary cap there now of 250 grand, which we expect to go up to 270 quite soon. But what we actually suddenly discovered was that the talent, the on-air talent, were not the highest paid people in RTÉ, because when you merge in the senior management team, you're actually finding 6/7 of the slots in the top 10 were actually the management, not the talent.
The C-suite.
Such. The C-suite were the ones who were making the big money. Where over previous years we were being told, oh no, it's the stars,
it's
are the ones who are
your Duffys, your Tubertys, your Dobsons, etc.
Yeah.
But let's stick to talent for 1 second though, because what does this mean for Derek Mooney to find himself now in this position?
Obviously, RTÉ are saying, listen, this was a management decision that was taken. But I suppose a criticism of Ryan Tuberty during the payment scandal was, well, why didn't you put your hand up, Ryan? Why didn't you come forward and say the figures that have been published about me in some of the years are not accurate? And Ryan Tuberty has put his hand up and said, yeah, no, you know what, in hindsight, I should have done that. There were figures produced. So we don't know why, let's not single out Derek Mooney, we don't know why nobody in RTÉ spotted the figures in recent years and went, hang on, there's actually a guy who's also a presenter who we should fit in here, because this seems to be a kind of a bit of a revelation to management and the board that there was another person there who could be categorised as a presenter and on-air talent, who should have been in that list all along. And
just clarify, this isn't a side deal. So what has Director General Kevin Bakhurst
this is the interesting thing, because in 2020 he was recategorised as a producer rather than a presenter, probably assessing the amount of work that he did and saying, listen, this guy's actually a producer rather than a presenter. And Kevin Bakhurst has denied that this was an element, that there was something surreptitious going on here, that this was some sort of attempt to avoid any sort of a pay cut that was coming in for the on-air talent at the time, that there was anything untoward going on here.
So the word justifiable has come out of the mouth of Kevin Bakhurst. What does that mean, and how justifiable is this?
I suppose his point is there was a logic to what was being done at the time, that the top 10 highest paid presenters were presenters. Strictly speaking, they were the on-air talent, that you had somebody else here who wasn't necessarily just a presenter. Presenting was part of what he did, but he also did the bulk of his work seems to be in production. Now, the counter-argument would be, okay, but producers aren't paid in the ballpark of 200 grand. It was his presenting skills that were ensuring that he was on a higher salary than other producers who would have been comparable to him, so therefore he should have been within this space. So RTÉ management's argument here is, well, listen, this was the criteria that was applied at the time. We're now changing the rules as a result.
I think people are of the mind, I'm generalising here, but I think people will be of the mind that Bakhurst has had a very difficult job in the last 3 years, and he's done a fairly decent job in those last 3 years. No one's really calling for his head, but he always talks about transparency, and he said it again in this one. We want to be transparent with everybody, with the public, etc., etc. But how this happens, at a time when this is supposed to be a thing of the past. Does that not severely weaken him?
This has been the problem that RTÉ have had over the course of the last year. It's not the first time we've been in a position where somebody within RTÉ has said, oh, by the way, you should take a look at this. We had this issue when the current CFO, she's on the way out, Mary Hurley, she's moving on to another job, Chief Financial Officer. She came in and said a staff member came to her and highlighted an issue and said, listen, you should really take a look at this. And it turned out in one case that there was an RTÉ abandoned HRIT system. I think it had cost in the ballpark of it was either 3.6 or 4 million or something like that. But that was... It was basically had to be written off because
a nice thing to land.
The project had to be abandoned, and this was never declared. I mean, during the course of 24 hours worth of Oireachtas committee hearings, when the cost of flip flops was being examined in enormous detail, when heads literally rolled over Toy Show the Musical losing 2 million. This was a figure that was twice as big as that, and yet was never flagged by anybody within the organisation. We had the issue about the golden handshake payments, which just came out in dribs and drabs. So this has always been the problem in RTÉ, that
you open another door and there's
and the excuse that, well, the people who did this are gone now and nobody else knew anything about it. It's getting a bit lame at this stage. So they're going to be in before the Oireachtas Arts Media Culture Committee in the coming week.
Why is that?
They were due in anyway, because that's the committee that supervises them, to talk about their reform programme and other matters. But other issues are now emerging about RTÉ's finances, such as sending 41 staff to Czechia for a World Cup qualifier in Prague, and it does seem a tad excessive that you were sending 41 different staff, and why did you have to send so many programmes
should we expect
out there, given that you're basically telling us, oh, our backs are to the wall and we're financially constrained?
Should we expect there to be similar fireworks to 3 years ago?
I would think there would be a great level of scrutiny. Alan Kelly, who's the chair of that committee, was on the committees 2 years ago. Was he on PAC or was he on Culture Committee? I think he was on PAC at the time. So he was in those talks, and Malcolm Byrne as well. And they these were among the TDs and senators at the time in those two committees that were examining RTÉ, who were turning around going, is there anything else we need to know about, lads?
A fair question.
And at the time they were kind of going, listen, maybe things have emerged and you didn't know about what you're discovering. Don't come back in here in 12 months' time with something new. And hey, presto, the lads are back in 12 months' time with something new. So there will be question marks here over, well, how come nobody spotted this before? There's also an issue about RTÉ deciding themselves, well, we're changing the criteria now to become more transparent and in line with expert committee recommendations. That's fine. We're using the previous year as a comparative model, but then there's a series of other years, and I've just been looking back over the top 10 figures over recent years, and we don't know exactly what Derek Mooney's salary was in those years, in 2023, in 2022, in 2021 and in 2020. But it would appear that if he was in the ballpark of the higher levels of touching 190 to 200 grand, he should have been on that list previously. And RTÉ are conceding that, well, he might have, but we're not going down that route. So it would appear that none other than George Lee shouldn't have been in the top 10, actually, in a number of years. Probably Anya Lawler in 2020, George Lee in 2021 and 2022, and George Lee then in 2023 as well. Shouldn't really have been in the top 10.
This is like a point.
Mooney should have been.
Yeah, like in football, like a points deduction can supersede a team gets knocked down, a team gets brought up. Yeah. Again, we're back to math. We're back to my head spinning.
VAR. We'll call this RTÉ's VAR moment. So under VAR, Anybody who's a football fan will know what I'm talking about there. It should have been Derek Mooney on this list, and George Lee shouldn't have been on this list.
Is that a list that he wants to be on? Because it's.
I don't know. You come under a lot of scrutiny.
This is the thing. It's prestigious in one way, and your bank balance looks.
It's prestigious
great.
because
then you got the likes of a Fiona and Sheehan coming.
You are a big deal, and you are a respected broadcaster, and this is why you're on the big money. But it does come with a lot of public scrutiny about you and comments about, what's he doing to justify that salary? So, yeah, poor old George Lee, it looks to be, was the victim of this.
He's been relegated.
Oversight. So
hang on, this tranche of figures also reveal that RTÉ continued to pay presenters who had left the organisation?
Yeah, Kevin Bakhurst is saying, look, the point here is Ray D'Arcy's, I believe the phrase there is his contract was not being renewed, and Claire Byrne was transferring voluntarily to News Talk. Therefore, they took them off air because they were kicking in with a new schedule. They wanted to get in ahead of the changes in competitors, or get listeners used to the new schedule. So as a result of that, they were effectively put on what you'd call in the private sector gardening leave, where you know,
another football term.
Yeah, you're basically being paid. Another way of looking at it is that they had given notice. As they were legally required to, they were seeing out their contractual obligations, so therefore they were being paid as a result of that. The point is, though, that it would appear, certainly in Claire's case, possibly in Ray's case, that RTÉ decided that they were not going to put them on air, that they were going to take them off air earlier than their now look,
it's an editorial decision.
People have holiday leave as well, yeah, and things like that. So yeah, they were going to have to pay them up until the end of the year. Anyway, the question mark being, well, if you were paying them, why didn't you just keep them on air?
Yeah, again,
that'll be another
editorial
question.
Call.
That'll be yeah, it's an editorial call,
but one that costs money.
Yeah, there was $100,000 paid between the two of them. Towards the end of the year, after they had effectively, it was announced that they would be departing, and the question is, well, if you were paying them, why weren't you utilising their skills? RTÉ have made the point that, look, they were there if something big happened.
Yeah, but in that time, I guess they could just comfortably and mentally prepare for their next gigs. Speaking of those, though, because Claire Byrne in particular, you mentioned that she's moved to News Talk, seems to be going pretty well. As a matter of fact, this week, in what has been a bit of a tempestuous week in general, I think, for RTÉ, the JNLRs came out, which of course is a listenership research grouping of what's going on with the radio stations, who's doing well, who's up, who's down. RTÉ Radio 1, talk to us.
Down, deeper and down.
Across the board. Yeah.
Across the board, the odd exception. The RTÉ press statement on this was rather interesting. They pointed to the listenership figures and said, we continue to dominate the airwaves and so on and so forth. They've cited the overall figures, but they didn't cite what was glaringly obvious, which was so many of their shows were down, and some quite significantly down. So there was a lot of reductions there, and RTÉ are saying, well, look, the new schedule is bedding in and listeners are getting used to it and so on and so forth. Over in News Talk, they're saying, well, we have a new schedule as well and we're getting on just fine, because interestingly enough, the most significant part of that reshuffle are Anton Savage going on the morning and then Claire Byrne coming in the mid-morning slot, and both of them have held their own despite the disruption on what was their previous. And Claire Byrne was obviously replacing Pat Kenny, who was the station's best known
big shoes
for the last decade. So News Talk obviously thrilled with the figures. RTÉ in effect trying to gloss over them and say, everything's fine, nothing to see here now, move along, we're still the big beast. But you're kind of going, yeah, you're the big beast, but you can't claim that your schedule has been or schedule changes have been a rock solid success with the audience. I think there was one show which RTÉ weren't even talking about, and it would appear that's because the figures were so bad. So we were seeing that, RTÉ trying to put lipstick on the pig.
And is this a case of to use that analogy, even for Kevin Bakhurst, with all of these problems, all of these, again, it's death of a thousand cuts in many, many ways. Is there anything to be said to play devil's advocate here for, look, these things take time. It's not going to be...
You won't judge us straight away, but I mean, the problem with the JNLRs is that has an impact in terms of your advertising rate card, your ability to attract sponsorship, the general vibe around the station and your reception with the audience, and ultimately the audience are paying for a service here. Everybody is paying their 160 quid a year in their licence fee. The government is topping that up with a significant bailout that all told over the course of 3 years RTÉ are getting 725 million. So it is about providing a return. And we were told that the schedule changes, were revitalising RTÉ, bringing them into, adapting to what the audience wanted, and the audience are turning around going, oh no, we don't.
While making it smaller, which has kind of been the Bakhurst, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Bakhurst's other point is, presenters' pay is going down, and ultimately, because you've had significant departures at the top, and the people who have come in and replaced them are not costing as much, and that we're seeing that from the top 10 earners figures as well. And the days of the massive money in RTÉ, as you pointed out, there is a salary cap in RTÉ. We believe, we're hearing that's the reason why the late show issue has not been resolved, because Kevin Bakhurst's salary is due to go up from 250 to 270. He said nobody can earn more than the Director General, so that puts a cap of 250 on it. But if that goes up to 270, then the cap goes up. So we're hearing that's holding all of that up too. So there will be knock-on consequences, but you're not in the space of the 500 grands that Ryan Tubridy was on in these figures in previous years that we're now going back looking at to see where would Derek Mooney fit in.
Yeah, and lastly, and I guess it's worth contrasting as well, because let's be honest, we know how radio works. It takes a village. You got loads of researchers, loads of producers, loads of staff who work extremely hard, and then of course stories like this come out, and it's not a nice thing.
It can be demoralising. I have been speaking to RT staff this morning who have been not pleased, to say the least, about these latest revelations. Feel just lack of transparency. And again, if we in the outside world take a look at those figures and say, okay, what are RTÉ getting in return for paying these presenters these high salaries, they're scrutinised even more within the organisation, where people are working alongside the very highly paid people. You could be, a runner, a researcher, and a producer being on a substantially lower level of remuneration compared to the talent.
Long hours, hard work.
And basically wondering, well, how come, he's on that salary and I'm on this. So it has tended over the years to cause that bit of resentment. And, I think that, that phrase, the talent, did cause a lot of issues over the years that there was a feeling of them and us. That was supposed to be gone, and I suppose scrutiny like this brings it back again.
Yeah, well, lastly, just to sign off here, what I would say is that obviously we're saying at the outset here that this new payment scandal is not going to be as meteoric as the Tubridy situation.
No, it won't. It brings them back though before Oireachtas committees.
But what I do want to ask is this still a gigantic challenge? Because this is a case, especially with tying it into the declining ratings as well. Are we about to see just how resilient the broadcaster is in 2026?
Yeah, I think what we are seeing now is the impact of the reforms. A scaled down, lower cost RTÉ has to come out of this. The problem is when you've got that on the one hand, and then you've got seemingly largesse expending on the other side, and high salary figures. There's a contradiction there that people are finding it hard to reconcile.
Fionn and Sheehan, thank you.
Thank you.